didn't you call me at the store so I could have picked some bread up on the way home?
Isn't it obvious? Because if I used the phone, then I would be getting germs on it, and then I would be talking to my own germs.
Picture this. It's 1987. You're flipping channels past wholesome family sitcoms where every problem gets solved in 22 minutes with a heartfelt talk and a group hug. Then suddenly, you land on something different. A balding shoe salesman with his hand perpetually down his pants. A wife who thinks cooking is a myth. 2 kids who make you grateful for your own siblings. This wasn't your parents' sitcom. This was Married with Children, and it changed everything. For 11 glorious seasons, the Bundy family showed us that not every TV family needs to be the Cleavers or the Huxtables. Sometimes families are messy, mean to each other, and totally okay with it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the show that made Fox a real network, launched careers, and proved that America was ready for comedy that didn't come with a moral lesson. Grab your remote and settle into your favorite spot on the couch because we're about to dive deep into the chaos with 15 weird facts about Married with Children that land completely differently in today's world. But before we get into it, if you're loving this nostalgic journey, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss more TV deep dives like this one. Now let's start with number 15. Peg's hair was totally fake. Let's talk about Peg Bundy's hair. That magnificent red tower of volume defying both gravity and good taste. That wasn't Katey Sagal's real hair. It was a wig, and not just any wig. This thing required its own maintenance schedule. In the early episodes, Sagal actually did her own hair, but once the show took off, the producers upgraded her to a custom wig that became as iconic as the character herself. It was part 1960s housewife, part cartoon character, and 100% unforgettable. For Sagal, the wig served a practical purpose beyond just the look. She was still pursuing her music career and wasn't sure how long the show would last. The wig was like her secret identity. She could take it off and not be recognized as Peg Bundy when she was out living her life. The wig evolved slightly over the years, getting a bit sleeker in later seasons, but it never lost that signature height. You don't mess with perfection, you just tease it a little less. Sagal has joked that Peg's entire aesthetic, the wig, the animal prints, the heels, the whole package was basically drag, and honestly, she's absolutely right. Nobody commits that hard to lounging around the house in full glam quite like Peg Bundy. And if you think that's dedication to a bit, wait until you hear about Bud's music career. Number 14. Bud actually released a rap album.
He came from the streets where everyone's meat. Guns in the night put you under a sheet.
Remember when Bud Bundy decided he was going to be a rapper and everyone on the show treated it like the joke it was? Well, reality is stranger than fiction because David Faustino actually tried to make it as a rapper. I'm not making this up. In the early 90s, Faustino released an actual hip-hop album under the name D-Lil. The album was called Ballistics, and it featured tracks that, how do I put this gently, didn't exactly set the charts on fire. It went straight to the bargain bin at record stores nationwide. But credit where it's due, Faustino didn't half commit. He also opened a nightclub on the Sunset Strip, also called Ballistics, which actually became a legitimate spot in LA's hip-hop scene. The club had some success, even if the album didn't. The show's writers must have loved this because they used Faustino's real-life rap ambitions as inspiration for Grandmaster B, Bud's delusional rapper persona, so every time you saw Bud rapping on the show with a backwards cap and sunglasses indoors, you were watching art imitate life in the most uncomfortable way possible. Say what you want about Faustino, but the man committed to the bit. The album might not have gone platinum, but it did earn a cult following among die-hard Bundy fans who appreciate the deeper cuts of 90s pop culture weirdness. Speaking of deep cuts, here's a detail so obscure that most fans never spotted it, even after hundreds of episodes. Number 13. The vacation movie car is in the opening credits. Next time you watch the first season opening of Married with Children, pay close attention to the traffic footage. Hidden in plain sight is the Wagon Queen family truckster from National Lampoon's Vacation. Yes, that hideous pea-green station wagon. The show's producers used stock footage from the movie for their opening credits. which means the Griswolds and the Bundys technically exist in the same universe. And honestly, we're not mad at it. Both families represent the slow-motion collapse of the American dream, just in different ways. It's a small detail that most people never noticed, but it's the kind of thing that makes you wonder. What if Clark Griswold and Al Bundy switched places for a day? Would anyone even notice? Now imagine a different kind of switch, one that almost cost us the Bundy kids we know and love. Number 12. Kelly and Bud were almost played by different actors.
And if I win, I get a year's supply of weenie tots.
Hey.
Here's something that'll blow your mind. Bud and Kelly Bundy almost looked completely different, like different hair, different faces, different everything. In the original pilot that never aired, 2 other actors played the Bundy children. The chemistry just wasn't there. The jokes fell flat. The whole family dynamic felt off, like watching a cover band that can't quite nail the original song. So the producers did what any sensible person would do. They started over. They brought in Christina Applegate and David Faustino, and suddenly everything clicked. Applegate had this perfect blend of charm and obliviousness that made Kelly iconic. Faustino brought this lovable loser energy to Bud that was just chef's kiss perfect. It's wild to think about how different the show could have been. Those original actors are basically a footnote in TV history, remembered only by the handful of people who've tracked down bootleg copies of that unaired pilot online. Meanwhile, Applegate and Faustino became household names, playing characters that defined a generation of sitcom kids who weren't perfect angels. Talk about dodging a bullet. But here's something the show didn't dodge: continuity errors. Number 11. The Bundy address kept changing. Over 11 seasons, the Bundy house couldn't decide on its own address. Most episodes showed it as 9764 Jeopardy Lane, but occasionally it popped up as 9674. The street name stayed consistent, but those numbers, all over the place. Was this sloppy continuity? Absolutely. But let's be real, this was a late 80s sitcom. As long as Al had his hand down his pants and Peg was avoiding housework, nobody was fact-checking the house numbers. Maybe the Bundys were getting evicted so often they just kept moving into identical houses on the same street. In the Bundy universe, anything's possible. Okay, quick time out. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of the most iconic shows of our generation, do me a solid and hit that like button. Seriously, it helps more than you think. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we've got more nostalgic content coming your way. Now, back to the Bundys. Number 10. Ed O'Neill was actually a real athlete.
How you feeling, Al?
Feel good, feel strong. Nothing can stop me today.
Oh, Al!
Feel bad, feel weak.
Every time Al Bundy talked about scoring 4 touchdowns in a single game at Polk High, you probably thought it was just a funny running gag. An old-timer still living in the past, clinging to his one shining moment. But here's the thing, Ed O'Neill actually lived that life. Well, not the exact same life, but close enough to make it hurt. Before becoming one of TV's most beloved grumps, O'Neill was a legitimate athlete. He played high school football in Youngstown, Ohio, earned a college scholarship, and get this, the Pittsburgh Steelers actually signed him. Sure, he got cut during training camp, but that's still way more impressive than most of us will ever achieve athletically. So when Al rambles on about his high school football career, O'Neill understood that character on a cellular level. He knew what it felt like to peak athletically and then have to figure out what comes next. The irony is that O'Neill's real athletic career was actually more impressive than Al's fictional one, but playing a washed-up jock made him more famous than anything he did on the field. And because Ed O'Neill is apparently incapable of being just one thing, he also spent over 15 years training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and earned a black belt in 2007. That's right, the guy who spent a decade playing the laziest man on television can probably submit you in under a minute. Let that sink in. He said that playing Al Bundy was simultaneously the best and worst thing that happened to his career. Best because it made him a star. Worst because people still yell about those 4 touchdowns at him in public. Fame is weird, folks. Speaking of weird, let's talk about how this dysfunctional family basically built a network from scratch. Number 9. This show made Fox cool. Before Married with Children premiered in 1987, Fox was basically the new kid at school trying to figure out where to sit at lunch. After the Bundys, Fox became the cool, rebellious kid that everyone wanted to be around. This show was Fox's first primetime sitcom, alongside The Tracy Ullman Show, and it immediately established what Fox was going to be, the network that aired what the big three networks were too scared to touch: crude, chaotic, and completely unapologetic. Without the Bundys paving the way, we probably wouldn't have gotten The Simpsons, Family Guy, or any of the other shows about terrible people doing terrible things. Al Bundy broke down the door so every dysfunctional animated family could walk through it. Fox executives knew they couldn't compete with ABC, NBC, or CBS by playing safe, so they went nuclear. They bet on dysfunction and depravity and won. America didn't want more wholesome families. They wanted to laugh at the Bundys falling apart in new and creative ways every week. It's impossible to overstate how much this one show shaped television comedy for decades to come. And while Fox was busy reshaping the television landscape, one cast member had already been reshaping rock and roll stages across America. Number 8. Katey Sagal sang backup for rock legends. While Peg Bundy perfected the art of doing absolutely nothing, the woman playing her had one of the most impressive resumes in the industry. Before Katey Sagal ever lounged on the Bundy couch, she was backing up some of the biggest names in music. We're talking Bob Dylan, Etta James, Tanya Tucker, Olivia Newton-John, Gene Simmons, and Bette Midler. She wasn't just standing in the back, she was part of the sound that defined these artists' live performances. Sagal came from a genuine showbiz family. Her father, Boris Sagal, directed classic TV shows like The Twilight Zone. Music was in her blood, and in the 1970s, she spent years touring as a professional backing vocalist. She performed with Kiss during their peak years and sang on albums with major recording artists. The show's producers knew about her musical talent and occasionally let it shine through. Peg sang in several episodes, giving viewers glimpses of Sagal's real abilities. She also released her own solo albums, including Well in 1994, proving she had the chops to front a band, not just support one. The contrast between Katey Sagal, the accomplished musician, and Peg Bundy, the professional bonbon eater, is one of the greatest casting ironies in TV history. But that's not even the most frustrating irony surrounding this show. Number 7. The show never got a real ending. After 11 seasons and 259 episodes, Married with Children didn't end with a dramatic finale or a farewell special. It just stopped. Fox cancelled the show in 1997 and didn't bother telling the cast first. Ed O'Neill found out from strangers while he was on vacation. Christina Applegate heard it from friends. Imagine dedicating over a decade to a show and learning it's over because someone else read about it in a trade magazine before you did. The final episode that aired wasn't written as a finale. There were no goodbyes, no character resolutions, no sentimental moments. Just another day in the Bundy household. And weirdly, that feels appropriate. The Bundys weren't a family that learned lessons or grew as people. They were stuck in an endless loop of dysfunction, so having them just stop without a ceremony? That's the most Bundy ending possible. It's both sad and perfect at the same time. Meanwhile, across the pond, someone looked at this perfectly imperfect American train wreck and said, "Let's do that, but British." Spoiler alert, it did not go well. Number 6. The British remake flopped. At some point, someone in British television watched Married with Children and thought they could replicate it. Thus, Married for Life was born in 1996. The UK version starred Russ Abbott as Ted Butler, their version of Al Bundy, with the rest of the family played by British actors attempting to recreate the Bundy dynamic. They even recycled the same set design and adapted the original scripts, just with British accents and local references swapped in. The problem? What worked as edgy American satire came off as forced and uncomfortable when transplanted to British sensibilities. It lasted exactly 7 episodes on ITV before getting the axe. Critics savaged it for awkward performances and complete lack of chemistry between the cast. The timing didn't help either. By 1996, the original show had been running for 9 years, and British audiences could already watch the real thing. Why settle for a pale imitation when you could see the genuine article? The British Bundys came and went so fast that most people don't even know they existed. Some shows just can't be translated. The Bundy family's specific brand of American dysfunction was apparently too uniquely American to export successfully across the pond. And if you thought the British couldn't replicate it, turns out the Americans couldn't either, even when they tried to spin it off themselves. Number 5. All the spin-offs failed hard. Married with Children tried to launch its own sitcom universe because apparently one trainwreck family wasn't enough for Fox. The most notable attempt was Top of the Heap, starring a pre-Friends Matt LeBlanc. The show came from a backdoor pilot on Married with Children and managed to limp through 7 episodes before vanishing. Bud and Kelly showed up as guest characters, but the full Bundy family never appeared together, probably because they would have stolen every scene. There were also 2 other failed spin-off attempts. One was another Matt LeBlanc vehicle that somehow made his first spin-off look successful. The other was a college show featuring Bud that never made it past the pilot stage. Turns out, you can't just bottle Bundy magic and pour it into other characters. It only worked once, and his name was Al. Speaking of things that only worked once, let's talk about the greatest unintentional marketing campaign in television history. Number 4. The angry mom who made the show famous. You know how they say there's no such thing as bad publicity? Well, Married with Children is the poster child for that philosophy, and they have one very angry viewer to thank. Enter Terry Rakolta, a Michigan housewife who watched one episode in 1989 and decided this show was the downfall of American civilization. We're talking full moral panic mode here. She didn't just change the channel like a normal person. She organized letter-writing campaigns, contacted every advertiser she could find, and basically became the show's unofficial publicity director. Some sponsors actually did pull their ads. Fox even shifted the show to a later time slot. But here's where it gets beautiful. All that controversy made everyone curious. What could possibly be so offensive that it needed to be banned? Viewership didn't just increase, it doubled. The cast has said this controversy turned them from a cult favorite into a mainstream hit. The best part? The show's writers were absolute legends about the whole thing. Years later, they created an entire episode mocking the situation. They had zero chill, and we loved them for it. Rakolta later claimed she never intended to boost the show's ratings. She genuinely wanted it cancelled. Instead, she accidentally ran the most successful guerrilla marketing campaign in television history. Somewhere, a Fox executive probably still sends her a thank you card every year. Now, if you think Terry Rakolta accidentally changed the show's trajectory, imagine if this casting decision had gone differently. Number 3. Kramer auditioned for Al Bundy. It's almost impossible to imagine anyone but Ed O'Neill as Al Bundy. But Michael Richards, Kramer from Seinfeld, actually auditioned for the role. According to the casting director, Richards' audition was bizarre. It didn't match the tone at all. But that weird audition stuck in the casting director's memory, and a few years later, when he was casting Seinfeld, he remembered Richards and brought him in for Kramer. So, in a strange way, Richards not getting the Bundy role led to one of the most iconic characters in sitcom history. Everything worked out exactly as it should have. Well, almost everything. While Richards found his perfect role and O'Neill nailed his, not all relationships on the Married with Children set were quite so harmonious. Number 2. Al and Marcy really didn't like each other. On screen, Al and Marcy were constantly at war. Off-screen, Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse genuinely didn't get along. O'Neill has admitted they had tension during the show's run. One source of friction was a TV Guide cover in 1989 that featured the main cast but left out Bearse and David Garrison. O'Neill later said he regretted not speaking up about that. Bearse also didn't invite O'Neill to her wedding, which he mentioned years later in interviews. When asked about their relationship at a fan convention, Bearse simply said she follows the Thumper rule. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Neither has gone scorched earth on the other, but it's clear their rivalry extended beyond the cameras. Sometimes method acting goes too far. And honestly, that real-life tension perfectly captured what the show was always meant to be, the opposite of TV perfection. Number 1. It was almost called Not the Cosbys. During development, Married with Children was almost called Not the Cosbys. Subtle? Not even a little. Accurate? Absolutely. The concept was simple. This would be the anti-Cosby show. No moral lessons, no family dinners where everyone learns something, no hugging. Just pure dysfunction served cold. The show's creators, Michael G. Moy and Ron Levitt, pitched it specifically as a response to the squeaky clean family sitcoms dominating primetime. They wanted to show a working-class family that actually struggled, complained, and didn't pretend everything was perfect. Fox ultimately decided that naming your show as a direct rejection of the most popular show on television was maybe a bit too aggressive, even for a network building its brand on controversy. The title was too on the nose, too confrontational. But the spirit of that title lived on in every episode. Married with Children became everything wholesome 80s sitcoms weren't. While the Huxtables solved problems with empathy, the Bundys solved theirs with insults and indifference. The Cosby Show gave you warm feelings. Married with Children gave you uncomfortable laughs and the satisfaction of seeing a family that felt more real, even if that reality was exaggerated for comedy. In hindsight, Not the Cosbys might have been the most honest TV title in history, and the Bundys delivered on that promise for 11 glorious seasons. From bizarre auditions to accidental marketing campaigns, from real-life feuds to fake British remakes, Married with Children was messy, chaotic, and unapologetically itself, just like the family at its center. And there you have it. 15 weird facts about the show that proved families don't need to be perfect to be entertaining. They just need to be honest about their dysfunction. Which fact surprised you the most? Did we miss anything you think should have made the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows that shaped our childhoods. Until next time, remember, love and marriage might go together like a horse and carriage, but sometimes they go together like Al Bundy and a terrible day at the shoe store. And that's television gold.